So, welcome back. We are continuing this reading of Rudyard Kipling's Mowgli stories. And here, Mowgli and his pack are in the north, and the dhole, or the very fearsome dogs from the south, are moving north, and they are about to attack Mowgli and his pack. So, Mowgli has gone to Kaa, and Mowgli and Kaa are counseling and planning about how to meet the attack by the dhole. Kaa, I knew I was but little time. Now we'll go to the river and I'll show you what is to be done against the dhole, said Kaa. He turned straight as an arrow for the main stream of the Wainganga, plunging in a little above the pool that hid the Peace Rock, Mowgli at his side. So Mowgli and Kaa have entered the river Wainganga. No, do not swim. I go swiftly. My back, little brother. So Kaa says, don't swim, just get on my back. Mowgli tucked his left arm around Kaa's neck, dropped his right close to his body, and straightened his feet. Then Kaa breasted the current as he alone could, and the ripple of the checked waters stood up in a frill around Mowgli's neck, and his feet were waved to and fro in the eddy under the python's lashing sides. A mile or two above the Peace Rock, the Wainganga narrows between a gorge of marbled rocks from 80 to 100 feet high, and this current runs like a mill race between and over all manner of ugly stones. But Mowgli did not trouble his head about the water. Little water in the world could have given him a moment's fear. He was looking at the gorge on either side and sniffing uneasily, for there was a sweetish, sourish smell in the air, very like the smell of a big anthill on a hot day. Instinctively, he lowered himself in the water, only raising his head to breathe from time to time, and Kaa came to anchor with a double twist of his tail round a sunken rock, holding Mowgli in the hollow of a coil while the water raced on. So they stop at a particular rock. This is the place of death, said the boy. Why do we come here? They sleep, said Kaa. Hathi will not turn aside for the striped one. Yet Hathi and the striped one together turn aside for the dhole. So Hathi will not turn aside for the tiger. It's a striped one. Yet Hathi and the tiger both together turn for the dhole. And the dhole, they say, turn for nothing. So the dhole are relentless. They come forward and hunt and kill. And then for whom do the little people of the rocks turn aside? Tell me, master of the jungle, who is the master of the jungle? You, Mowgli whispered, it's the place of death. Oh, these, Mowgli whispered, this is the place of death. Let us go. No, look well, for they are asleep. It is as it was when I was not the length of your arm. The split and weather-torn rocks of the gorge of the Wainganga had been used since the beginning of the jungle by the little people of the rocks, the busy, furious, black wild bees of India, and as Mowgli knew well, all trails turned off half a mile before they reached the gorge. For centuries, the little people had hived and swarmed from cleft to cleft, and swarmed again, staining the white marble with stale honey, and made their combs tall and deep in the dark of the inner caves, where neither man nor beast nor fire nor water had ever touched them. The length of the gorge on both sides was hung as it were with black, shimmery velvet curtains, and Mowgli sank as he looked, for those were the clotted millions of the sleeping bees, beehives all over at the gorge. There were other lumps amid and festoons and things like decayed tree trunks studded on the face of the rock, the old combs of the past years, or the new cities built in the shadow of the windless gorge, and huge masses of spongy, rotten trash had rolled down and stuck among the trees and creepers that clung to the rock face. As he listened, he heard more than once the rustle and slide of a honey-loaded comb turning over or falling away somewhere in the dark galleries. Then a booming of angry wings and the sullen drip, drip, drip of the wasted honey, guttering along till it leaped over some ledge in the open air and sluggishly trickled down on the twigs. There was a tiny little beach, not 5 feet broad, on one side of the river, and that was piled high with rubbish of the uncounted years. There were dead bees, drones, sweepings, and stale combs, and wings of marauding moths that had strayed in after the honey, all tumbled in smooth piles of the finest black dust. The mere sharp smell of it was enough to frighten anything that had no wings and knew what the little people were. So it was a place of honeys, honeycombs, dead honeys, moths, everything. Car moved upstream again till he came to a sandy bar at the head of the gorge. Here is the season's kill. Look, he said. So Car has got a particular perch at the head of the sandy bar, at the head of the gorge. On the bank lay the skeletons of a couple of young deer and a buffalo. Mowgli could see that neither wolf nor jackal had touched the bones, which were laid out naturally. They came beyond the line. They did not know the law, murmured Mowgli, and the little people killed them. Let us go before they wake. They do not wake till dawn, said Kaa. Now I will tell you, 100 buck from the south, many, many rains ago, came here from the south, not knowing the jungle. A pack on his trail. Being made blind by fear, he leaped from above, the pack running by sight, for they were hot and blind on the trail. The sun was high, and the little people were many and very angry. Many too were those of the pack who leaped into the Wainganga, but they were dead before they took water. Those who did not leap died also in the rocks above, but the buck lived. So Kaa has brought Mowgli to a particular spot on the Wainganga, where the river cascades down into a gorge. And there they saw on the bank they lay the skeletons of a couple of young deer and a buffalo. Mowgli could see that no wolf or no jackal had touched the bones, which lay as they had fallen. And Kaa says, they came beyond the line, they did not know the law, O murmured Mowgli. And the little people killed them, left them here before they wake. Let us go before they wake. So Mowgli says that the little people have killed them. Then Kaa says they do not wake till the dawn. Now I will tell you, hunted buck from the south, many, many rains ago, came here from the south. Not knowing the jungle, a pack on his trail, the buck was being chased by the pack of, I think, the toll. Being made blind by fear, he leaped from above, the pack running by sight, for they were hot and blind on trail. So the buck jumped from above into the gorge. The sun was high and the little people were many and very angry. Many too were those of the pack who leaped into the Wainganga, but they were dead before they touched the water. It is so deep. They died before they hit water. Those who did not live died also in the rocks above. So up in the rocks they were under attack. So they ran for their lives and jumped because it was dark and emergency. But only the buck lived. How? Because he came first, running for his life, leaping before the little people were aware, and was in the river when they gathered to kill. The pack following was altogether lost under the weight of the little people. The buck lived, Mowgli repeated slowly. At least he did not die then, though none waited his coming down with a strong body to hold him safe against the water, as a certain old fat deaf yellow flathead would wait for a manling. Yeah, though there were all the dholes of the Deccan on his trail. What are you thinking? Kaa said was close to Mowgli's ear, and it was a little time before the boy answered. So Kaa is saying that the buck jumped, and he did not die then, though none waited his coming down with a strong body to hold him. So he is saying Kaa was there down to stop the fall and to save that buck against the water. At a certain old fat deaf yellow flathead would wait for a manling. Yeah, though natural. Though there were all. Sorry, there was an interruption. We'll start anew. The buck lived, Mowgli repeated slowly. How? Kaa says at least he did not die then, though none waited his coming down with a strong body to hold him safe against the water, as a certain old, fat, deaf, yellow flathead. So Kaa was there to protect and save the buck. That's what he says. Yeah, though there were all the dholes of the Deccan on his trail. What is in your stomach? Kaa asked. Kaa said it was close to Mowgli's ear, and it was a little time before Mowgli answered. It is to pull the very whiskers of death. But Kaa, you are indeed the wisest of all the jungle. So Mowgli tells Kaa that Kaa is the wisest of the jungle. So many have said that. Look now, if the dhole follow you, as surely they will follow. Oh, ho, I have many little thorns under my tongue to prick into their sides. If they follow the hot and blind, looking only at your shoulders, those who do not die up above will take the water either here or lower down. For the little people will rise up and cover them. Now the Wainganga is hungry water, and they will have no car to hold them, but will go down such as live to the shallows by the Sioni layers, and there your pack may meet them by the throat. Aha, said Mowgli. Better could not be till the rains fall in the dry season. There is now only the little matter of the run and the leap. I'll make me known to the dholes so that they shall follow me very closely. So immediately Mowgli catches on to the plan that he will go and entice the dholes to follow him to that spot where they will have to leap from a height into the water below and meet death. I'll make me known to the dhol so that they shall follow me very closely. Then Ka is asking, have you seen the rocks above you from the landward side? Indeed, that I had forgotten, said Mowgli. Go look, it's all rotten ground, cut and full of holes. One of your clumsy feet set down without seeing would end the hunt. See, I leave you, and for your sake only I will carry a word to the pack, that they may know where to look for the dhole. For myself, I am not of one skin with any wolf. So Ka says he is not there for the fight, and he is only showing out of friendship. Go look, it's all rotten ground. So Ka is telling Mowgli that go up and check the rocks. Those rocks are very full of holes, and with clumsy feet, if one wrong step, and you cannot do anything, you will be stuck and broken. So I will carry word to the pack for your sake, that they may know where to look for the dhole. For myself, I am not of one skin with any wolf. So Ka is escape. He is saying he will not fight. He is going away. When Ka disliked an acquaintance, he could be more unpleasant than any of the jungle people, except perhaps Bagheera. He swam downstream, and opposite the rock he came on Pau and Akela, listening to the night noises. Shh, dogs, he said cheerfully. The dholes will come downstream. If you be not afraid, you can kill them in the shallows. When do they come? Asked Pau. And where is my man cub, Mowgli? Said Akela. They come when they come, said Ka. Wait and see. As for my man cub, from whom you have taken a word and so laid him open to death. So man cub has made a promise, an oath. The man cub is with me, and if he be not already dead, the fault is not of yours. Bleached dog, wait here for the dhole, and be glad that the man cub and I strike on your side. So Ka is talking that he and Mowgli will fight on the side. Ka flashed upstream again and moved himself in the middle of the gorge, looking upward at the line of the cliff. Presently he saw Mowgli said, move against the stars, and then there was a whiz in the air, the keen, clean sloop of a body falling feet first, and next minute the boy was at rest again in the loop of Ka's body. So Mowgli jumps from the top of the gorge down into the water, and then he meets Ka and he rests against on Ka's body. It is no leap by night, said Mowgli quietly. I have jumped twice as far for sport, but that is an evil place above. Low bushes and gullies that go down very deep, all full of little people. I have put big stones, one above the other, by the side of 3 gullies. There I shall throw down with my feet. These I shall throw down with my feet in running, and the little people will rise up behind me, very angry. That is man's talk and man's cunning, said Ka. So Mowgli has done something. He says, it is not a leap by night. I have jumped twice as far for sport, but that's an evil place above. Low bushes and gullies that go down very deep, all full of the little people. I have put big stones one above the other by the side of 3 gullies. These I shall throw down with my feet in running, and the little people will rise up behind me, very angry. That is man's talk and man's cunning, said Ka. You are wise, but the little people are always angry. No, at twilight all wings near and far rest for a while. That is all the honeybees. At twilight they will rest for a while. I'll play with the dhol at twilight, for the dhol hunts best by day. He follows now Montola's blood trail. Chill does not leave a dead ox, nor the dhol the blood trail, said Ka. Then I will make him a new blood trail of his own blood, if I can, says Mowgli, and give him dirt to eat. You will stay here, Ka, till I come again with my dhols. So Mowgli and Ka are plotting how to do the battle with the dhols. So Ka says the dhol do not let go of the scent of blood. So they will not leave the trail of Montola's blood. So then I'll make him a new blood trail of his own blood. So Mowgli says he'll give the blood trail of their own, dhol's own blood. You stay here, Ka, till I come again with my dhols. Hey, but what if they kill you in the jungle, or the little people kill you before you can leap down to the river? When tomorrow comes, we will kill for tomorrow, said Mowgli, quoting a jungle saying, and again, when I am dead, it is time to sing the death song. Good hunting, Ka. So he says, tomorrow we'll see about tomorrow, don't worry. So Ka was anxious that maybe the good little people kill you before you come. So Mowgli says, don't worry about that, we'll see about it tomorrow. So Mowgli loosed his arm from the python's neck and went down the gorge like a log in a freshet, paddling towards the far bank where he found slack water and laughing aloud from sheer happiness. There was nothing Mowgli liked better than, as he himself said, to pull the whiskers of death and make the jungle know that he was their overlord. He had often, with Balu's help, robbed bees' nests in single trees, and he knew that the little people hated the smell of wild garlic. So he gathered a small bundle of it, tied it up with a bark string, then followed Montola's blood trail as it ran southerly from the lairs for some 5 miles, looking at the trees with his head on one side and chuckling as he looked. So now Mowgli is going to attack the little people, means the bees, I suppose, honey bees. Mowgli the frog have I been, said he to himself. Mowgli the wolf have I said that I am. Now Mowgli the ape must I be, before I am Mowgli the buck. At the end I shall be Mowgli the man. Oh! And he said, as he slid his thumb along the 18-inch blade of his life. Montola's trail, all rank with dark blood spots, ran under a forest of thick trees that grew close together and stretched away northeastward, gradually growing thinner and thinner to within 2 miles of the Bee Rocks. From the last tree to the low scrub of the Bee Rocks was open country, where there was hardly cover enough to hide a wolf. Mowgli trotted along under the trees, judging distances between branch and branch, occasionally climbing up a tree and taking a trial leap from one tree to another, till he came to the open ground, which he studied very carefully for an hour. Then he turned, picked up Montola's trail where he had left it, settled himself in a tree with an overrunning branch, some 8 feet from the ground, and sat still, sharpening his knife on the side of the foot, on the sole of his foot, and singing to himself. So Mowgli found a perch. Uh, it is all along the trail of Wontola's blood, and the bees will go after his blood. They'll follow his blood to the smell and come there. That is his expectation. So he perched himself and waited. A little before midday, when the sun was very warm, he heard the patter of feet and smelled the abominable smell of the Dhol pack as they trotted pitilessly along Wontola's trail. So a little later, he heard the feet of one of the Dhol pack. They were coming. Seen from above, the red dhole does not look half the size of a wolf. But Mowgli knew how strong his feet and jaws were. He watched the sharp bay head of the leader snuffling along the trail and gave him good hunting. The brute looked up and his companions halted behind him. Scores and scores of red dogs with low hung tails, heavy shoulders, weak quarters, and bloody mouths. The Dholes are a very silent people as a rule, and they have no manners even in their own jungle. Fully 200 must have gathered below him, but he could see that the leaders sniffed hungrily on the Wontola's trail and tried to drag the pack forward. That would never do, or they would be at the lairs in broad daylight, and Mowgli meant to lead them under his tree till dusk. By whose leave do you come here? Asked Mowgli. All the jungles are our jungles, said the Dhole. And the Dhole that gave the answer bared his white teeth. Mowgli looked down with a smile and imitated perfectly the sharp chitter-chatter of Chikai, the leaping rat of the Deccan, meaning the Dholes to understand that he considered them to be no better than the Chikai. The pack closed up round the tree trunk and the leader bayed savagely, calling Mowgli a tree ape. For an answer, Mowgli stretched down one naked leg. Okay. Mowgli stretched down one naked leg and wriggled his bare toes just above the leader's head. That was enough, and more than enough to wake the pack to a stupid rage. Those who have hair between their toes do not care to be reminded of it. Mowgli caught his foot away as the leader leaped up, and sweetly, dog, red dog, go back to the Deccan and eat lizards. Go to Chikai, your brothers. Dog, red dog, there is hair between your toes, every toe. And he twiddled his toes second time. Come down here before we starve you out. Hairless ape, yelled the pack. Come down, and they are calling him. And this was exactly what Mowgli wanted. He laid himself down along the branch, his cheek to the bark, his right arm free, and there he told the pack what he thought and knew about them, their manners, their customs, their mates, their puppies. There is no speech in the world so rancorous and so stinging as the language of the jungle people, which they use to show scorn and contempt. When you come to think of it, you will see how this must be so. As Mowgli told Kaa, he had many little thorns under his tongue, and slowly and deliberately he drove the Dholes from silence to growls. Oh, he speaks the jungle language, and little by little he makes them angry. And he drove the Dholes from silence to growls, from growls to yells, and from yells to hoarse slavery ravings. They tried to answer his taunts, but a cub might as well have tried to answer Kaa in a rage. And all the while, Mowgli's right hand lay crooked at his side, ready for action. His feet locked round the branch. The big bear leader had leaped many times in the air, but Mowgli dared not risk a false blow. At last, made furious beyond his natural strength, he bounded up 7 or 8 feet clear of the ground. Then Mowgli's hand shot out like the head of a tree snake and gripped him by the scruff of his neck, and the branch shook with the jar of the weight as his weight fell back, almost wrenching Mowgli to the ground. But he never loosened his grip, and inch by inch he hauled the beast, hanging like a downed jackal, up onto the branch. With his left hand, he reached for his knife and cut the red bushy tail, flinging the dhole back to earth again. That was all he needed. The pack could not go forward on Montola's trail now till they had killed Mowgli, or Mowgli had killed them. He saw them settle down in circles with a quiver of the haunches. That meant they were going to stay. So he climbed to a higher crotch, settled his back comfortably, and went to sleep. So Mowgli challenged the dhole pack, and by his little by little he agitated and made them angry and all that, until the leader of the pack jumped. Then Mowgli caught him by his neck and then pulled him up with his powerful muscles, and with his left hand he took his knife and cut off the tail of that leader. Now that he had done that, the pack will not leave Mowgli. They want to kill him before they move forward. So they gathered under the tree in a circle and they settled there to wait for him to kill him. And Mowgli settled himself in an upper branch and went to sleep. After 3 or 4 hours, he waked and counted the pack. They were all there, silent, husky and dry, with eyes of steel. So the dhole were waiting. The sun was beginning to sink. In half an hour, the little people of the rocks would be ending their labors. And as you know, the dhole does not fight in the twilight, fight best in the twilight. So the little people means the bees, honeybees. In half an hour, the honeybees of the rocks would be ending their work for the day. And the dhole does not fight in the twilight. I did not need such faithful watchers, he said politely, standing up on a branch. But I will remember this. You are true dholes, but to my thinking, overmuch of one kind. For that reason, I do not give the big lizard eater his tail again. Are you not pleased, Red Dog? So he says, I will not give the tail to the leader. I myself will tear out your stomach, yelled the leader, scratching at the foot of the tree. No, but consider, wise rat of the Deccan, there will now be many litters of little tailless red dogs, and with raw red stumps that sting when the sand is hot. Go home, Red Dog, and cry that an ape has done this. You will not go. Come then with me, and I will make you very wise. He moved Bandar Log in a fashion of a monkey. He moved into the next tree, and so on into the next and next. The pack followed with lifted, hungry heads. Now and then he would pretend to fall, and the pack would tumble over one another in their haste to be at the death. It was a curious sight. The boy with the knife that shone in the low sunlight as it sifted through the upper branches. and the silent pack with their red coats all aflame, huddling and following below. When he came to the last tree, he took the garlic and rubbed himself all over carefully, and the trolls yelled with scorn, "Ape with a wolf's tongue, do you think to cover your scent? We follow you to the death." "Take your tail," said Mowgli, and flung it back along the course he had taken. The pack instinctively rushed after it, and followed now to the death. He had slipped down the tree trunk and headed like the wind in bare feet for the bee rocks before the dhole saw what he would do. They gave one deep howl and settled down to the long, lobbing canter that can, at the last run down anything that runs. Mowgli knew their pack pace to be much slower than that of the wolves, or he would never have risked a 2-mile run in full sight. They were sure that the boy was theirs at last, and he was sure that he held them to play with as he pleased. All his trouble was to keep them sufficiently hot behind him to prevent their turning off too soon. He ran cleanly, evenly, and springingly, the tailless leader not 5 yards behind him, and the pack tailing out over perhaps a quarter of a mile of ground, crazy and blind with the rage of slaughter. So he kept his distance by ear, reserving his last effort for the rush across the bee rocks. The little people had gone to sleep in the early twilight. That's the honeybees had gone to sleep in the early twilight, for it was not the season of late blossoming flowers. But as Mowgli's first footfalls rang hollow on the hollow ground, he heard a sound as though all the earth were humming. Then he ran as he had never run in his life before, spurned aside 1, 2, 3 of the piles of stones into the dark, sweet-smelling gullies, heard a roar like the roar of the sea in a cave, and with the tail of his eye the air grew dark behind him, saw the current of the Vainganga far below, and a flat diamond-shaped head in the water leaped outward with all his strength. The tailless dhole, snapping at his shoulder in mid-air, and dropped feet first to the safety of the river, breathless and triumphant. There was not a sting upon him, for the smell of the garlic had checked the little people for just a few seconds that he was among them. When he rose, Kaa's coils were steadying him, and things were bounding over the edge of the cliff. Great lumps, it seemed, of clustered bees falling like plummets. But before any lump touched the water, the bees flew upward, and the body of a dhole whirled downstream. Overhead they could hear furious short yells that were drowned in a roar like breakers, the roar of the wings of the little people of the rocks. Some of the dholes too had fallen into the gullies that communicate with the underground caves, and there choked and fought and snapped among the tumbled honeycombs, and at last borne up, and even when they were dead, on the heaving waves of bees beneath them, shot out of some hole in the river face to roll over on the black rubbish heaps. There were those who had lived shot into the trees on the cliffs, and bees blotted out their shapes. But the greater number of them, maddened by the stings, had flung themselves into the river, and as Kaa said, the Vainganga was hungry water. So the dholes were tempted and egged on, and they ran and jumped into the Vainganga and the bees were stinging them, and they all fell into the water and the rocks and got killed. We are stopping here on page 208. So Mowgli is safe with Kaa, and Kaa is holding Mowgli safe in his coils. And the dolls are all running, chasing after Mowgli and jumping off the cliff into the rocks and beehives and the water below. That's on page 208. We'll continue from here next time. I think it's very exciting and interesting. I hope you found it. Thank you. Bye-bye.